What's going on, everybody? So sometimes in my spare time, I do try to read some stuff. To keep my brain as sharp as it possibly could be. And last night, I was able to read an article on Black Enterprise that Jamil Hill wrote. And then I saw a couple interviews of people talking about it. Of course, Fox News spent the bullshit on it, and was basically like she's trying to separate whites from blacks, and aren't we far from that, and all this bullshit, right? But the article was basically saying that she thought that black athletes needed to stop going to predominantly white colleges and go back to the HBCUs to help money for the HBCUs, to help money for the surrounding communities, to help with funding for certain programs for people in those communities, jobs, all that type stuff. And so, of course, when you see like the title, it automatically gives you I don't know. I mean, when I saw the title, it interested me into reading it because I wanted to see exactly what she was talking about. And if you go to the article and read the article, it's a pretty decent article. It's a pretty decent read. And I think that now that I'm kind of on this platform, I'm starting to find myself reading a wide range of things to kind of just keep my brain sharp, like I said in the beginning. And so Jamil Hill is real cool. I mean, she got her own podcast. I listen to her. I take bits and pieces of what she does and try to add it to my stuff. Like I say, I got a producer where we had a meeting night before last, and we still working on like a full outline and a full mock-up of how the show would look coming up in a few months. And I've watched different podcasts. I listen to a lot of different people, and I take bits and pieces from them and kind of add to my show. But I feel like that's neither here nor there, because we all do that. Whether we look at somebody, see somebody, know somebody, and be like, oh yeah, I'm gonna try that. And so I think it's a good thing. But as far as what she was talking about, as far as black athletes going to HBCUs, I totally agree with it. And even though, Fox News and some of these white people who, talk to some people about it automatically said that it was, separating whites and blacks, and I thought we were done with that type of stuff. And I mean, at the end of the day, people can say what they want. I mean, it is what it is. But I think that her article hit on so many different tangible things that I'm realizing now that when it's tangible and people can really see what's really good, there's a bunch of people who don't want you to believe that, right? And so I think Jamil Hill's article is perfect because it talks about black athletes, it talks about the impact that it can have for HBCUs, and it also talks about the impact that it can have in the communities. Because a lot of communities need funding. Like, it goes back to the redlining thing back in the day when, the banks would give the white family a home loan at a low interest rate versus giving a black family the same type of loan at a high interest rate. And so it just goes back to the point where, Delaware State University, for example, where I went, has always been diverse, but it's way more diverse now. And when I look at their campus from 1997 to now, their campus has evolved heavily. I mean, new buildings, better things going on the campus. I don't want to really get into the particulars, but it's a lot of good things. If you went to Delaware State, or you followed Delaware State, or if you knew about Delaware State compared to like late 90s to now, you will see the difference. And the one thing that I like to talk about is the football team. So the basketball team, when my man Hood went there, Hood was on everything, right? And I think that him being as good as he was and the team going to play different bigger schools, D1 schools, helped Delaware State attract kids that want to go to school, right? And so the football team wasn't always that good, but we did have a few players that went and played for the NFL. Denarian McCants, Jamal Jackson. Denarian McCants played for Philadelphia. He played for the Redskins. Jamal Jackson played for Philadelphia. So we had a couple cats that came out on the football team who made it to the NFL. Hood would have made it to the NBA, but if you guys go to my podcast, I did a whole story about him and why he didn't make it to the NBA. So you can take a listen to that. But getting back to Jemele Hill's point, I totally agree with her when she says that black athletes should go to black schools. I agree with that because it will bring more notoriety to the school. It will bring more money to the school. Then that way the school can adopt different programs to help the surrounding communities where the school is, and it could just help so many different people, either with jobs, either with certain programs that people may need. And so I feel like off the break, people automatically are, again, condemning what she's saying and trying to mix and put words in her mouth and what she's saying, and what she's saying is true. And so I just wanted to come on here real quick and get you guys to possibly go Google Jemele Hill, former ESPN analyst, journalist, whatever you want to call it, and check out her article. The article that I read on her, it was on Black Enterprise. And I think it's a very interesting article, and it hits on a lot of key points when we talking about kids, our black athletes going to these big D1 schools versus going to HBCUs. And again, there is a story floating. I didn't really want to talk about it just yet, but there is a story floating that California has adopted legislation where college students, athletes, will get profit from what they do. And I'm not sure if that's true yet, but I know there's still a big thing going on with, some people say they don't like to watch college football anymore because they feel like it's the same type of injustice as it is in the NFL, meaning that a lot of the college athletes are making these schools so much money for the jersey number and the name on their back, but yet they're not being paid for it. And when you see some of these documentaries at some of these big schools, you see the college kids, the athletes, and they live in mediocre surroundings. They eating oodles and noodles. I mean, shit, they getting in where they fit in. And I don't have no problem with that, but damn, if these athletes making these schools all this money, and if these kids not on scholarship, why can't they be put on scholarship since they are making you a lot of money? Now, of course, a lot of the kids who are on scholarship, or a lot of the kids that may start, a lot of the kids that have been touted and scouted to go to that school, but you got some of these kids who aren't on scholarship because they walked on, and these kids are excellent. They doing what they supposed to do on special teams, defense, or whatever, and I feel like at the end of the day, they not getting kickback from the NCAA. And so I think her message had a lot to do with the NCAA and them not getting money for these kids. And if that's the case, why can't these black athletes go to HBCUs and work out something where these schools will get money, generate a certain amount of revenue for these athletes, and then give back to the community? So I thought it was an excellent article. It's not a whole bunch of rah-rah this morning. A lot of times when it's not rah-rah, I notice that a lot of people don't chime in, but it's cool. But I felt like at the end of the day, Jemele Hill has an excellent article for you guys to read, especially for all of these, parents who have black young athletes who are kind of coming up in the game, who are kind of maybe in junior high school, and possibly getting ready to go into college. So I think it's an article that you should read just to give you some insight. And I'm not saying that it's going to sway you left or right, but I'm just saying it's definitely a good read, and it's definitely a good look by her. A couple people have came out against her, especially a couple people on Fox News and Friends. You know how they get down. We're not going to get into all that. But I feel like Jemele Hill's article was perfect because it hits on so many things, right? And so, myself, where I went to a HBCU, I get exactly what she's saying because we supported our athletes. And it was funny because, a lot of our athletes were our friends. Like, my history with Terrence Hood, he was shooting guard / small forward for Delaware State University. And the year he graduated, I want to say the year he graduated, he was number 3 in the nation in scoring. And when I say number 3 in the nation, that means everybody. That means number 3 in the nation over everybody. At a MEAC conference at Delaware State University, my man was cooking. I mean, he was going to Arizona State. He was going to UCLA. He played Maryland a couple times. They played some big schools, and he always got numbers. And so we supported Hood. We supported that man. And like I say, that's neither here or there about why he didn't make it to the NBA. But when he was going to leave, when he graduated Delaware State University, his next step should have been the NBA. And again, I say that I got a whole series on Terrence Hood and him getting inducted to the Hall of Fame for Delaware State University. But again, I'm just saying that just at Delaware State alone, from the school that I can think of that I went to, we had athletes, black athletes, who had the potential to go to the next level, and we had athletes that actually went and played on the next level. So I totally get what Jamil Hill was saying in terms of black athletes should kind of start thinking about turning and going to HBCUs, versus these predominantly white colleges. Now, I think it was Kelvin Benjamin that was interviewed on Fox News, and he was like, I totally agree with what she was saying, because I read the article and he was trying to give his points, and he was saying that he went to Duke University and one other school, and the host of the Fox News show was like laughing and grinning, trying to cut him off because she ain't want to hear what the fuck he had to say no more. And I thought that was interesting, because it's like they always got a way of demeaning us when we not on the same side as them. And I feel like not being on the same side as somebody is good, because just because you don't agree with somebody, guess what? That means now you can have a dialogue. Even though you don't agree with that person, you can agree to disagree respectfully. You can be like, okay, well, nah, I don't really necessarily agree with that because of this, and this. And that person can say, well, yeah, but I don't agree with that because of this, and this. And it has all to do with how we were brought up, how we were raised, what our backgrounds are, and where we grew up. And so if you guys read her article, it's on why black athletes should stop going to all white schools. She hits on so many different points that were, to me, woke me up this morning. And a lot of times, people always say, I wish I would have known what I know now back then. And that's a true statement. Now, even though I did go to a historically black college, I think if I would not have, if I would have had the right foundation when I got dropped off at school, I probably would have been a little bit more active in sports, a little bit more active in school, and just a little bit more active overall in my academics. And I'm not going to say that, my foundation wasn't good, because when I got to Dale State, I didn't know much about having structure to going to school. And so I had a friend of mine, Pudge, Jamal, Claiborne, man, all of the incoming freshmen that came from D.C., man, he kind of sat us down. He looked at our schedules, told us what professors not to take us. By the time we got there, I think Pudge was even like I think he was like in his first semester as a junior, I believe. And he was just kind of going over the curriculums and the syllabus, telling us what professors to take. Hey, don't drop him, don't take that, don't take all of these 8 o'clock classes, move this, do this. And so he helped us out a lot. I mean, it was like 5 of us that he helped out. And so I say that to say that I'm not saying that black athletes not getting the same type of treatment at these bigger schools, but we all know that a lot of these cats that's going to these big schools are only going just to get notoriety, just to get drafted, but they're not really going to get education. And I think if you go to a black HBE school and get education from it, I think it will hit you more and be more impactful to you to want to spread that word. Like my man Reem that's on here right now. He from the HBCU. He know what it is. He graduated from Dale State, and he can tell you about the past times that we had at Dale State, good and bad. And I think overall the history of it all was good. I mean, it was a great experience for me. I mean, even though I didn't have the best outcome, meaning that I didn't graduate, but I still had a good outcome based off the history and the experience that I got there. You know what I'm saying? And so I'm just saying that I want y'all to go read this article, check it out. I think it was a phenomenal article by Jemele Hill. Like I said again, I follow her on Instagram. I listen to her podcast, and I think that she's ahead of her time, man, on some of the shit that she be talking about. Even though, people talk bad about her, throw her name under the bus. I'm like, shit, they do that to everybody, but she's still, throwing shit out there and giving you shit to think about. Hey, what's up? I see you, Head. Julius, what's up, babe? Step brother, what's going on? And so, I just wanted y'all to, I don't know, just take a look at the article, give it a good read. I thought it was a great article, man. They definitely should go to HBCUs, but what is not being discussed is how those big schools got boosters who give the kids money on the side, and HBCUs can't do that. Exactly. I mean, yeah, I did speak on that a little bit, but not in reference. But yeah, we might have to sit down, Slim, and talk about that on the podcast. We might have to do that, yeah, for sure. And we went to a white school after that, and it didn't compare. Exactly. And so that's my thing. So, Rem, you kind of giving me kind of the leverage that I need. But because here it is, you went to a HBCU, and then you went to a predominantly white school, and then the field, it wasn't the same. It wasn't the same field, you know what I'm saying? And that's what I think. I think that going to an HBCU will impact you differently than it would a predominantly white school. And I'm not saying not to go to a predominantly white school. That's not what I'm saying. I know most parents will say, shit, if my kid got a scholarship to go full ride, that's where he going. That's fine. But if he got a full ride at a predominantly white school, full scholarship, what makes you think he can't get the same thing at a black school? That's all I'm saying, man. I just feel like we getting to a point now in this day and age, man, where, we got to try to figure out when we're going to support each other. We got to try to figure out when we're going to collectively come together and try to make our humanity and the time left that we have on this planet better than it was yesterday. That's all I'm saying, man. I appreciate y'all coming through, man. It wasn't a whole bunch of rah-rah today. I just wanted to, put something on y'all head, man, and give y'all something to think about today. If you can get a chance, check out Jemele Hill's article. It's kind of everywhere, but I saw the article on Black Enterprise. Hey, just trying to give y'all something to think about, not at all. And to be honest, I wouldn't have been able to survive at the white school if I didn't have HBCU first. Exactly. And so, I mean, again, you are kind of solidifying the point that I'm raising this morning, sir. I appreciate that as always. But yeah, man, I just wanted to give y'all something this morning. It wasn't too much, Hold on, got one coming through. I went to see Virginia Union versus Hampton play this weekend. Great experience. One of our own, Dr. Alvin Parker, the coach at VU. Some great players. Exactly, Head. And so I think that's her point. I think her point is we don't give HBCUs enough credit, right? We don't give them enough credit. I mean, even though Maryland University just recently played Howard University and they beat them 79-0, I feel like, that's one of them experiences that, when your coach signed up for that on your schedule, it's kind of what you deal with. So it was kind of good to see people going to that game because they were supporting, Howard University as well as another DMV school, which was Maryland. Now, some would argue that Maryland is a predominantly white school, but I've been on that campus more than a few times, even when I was hanging with X-Rehip back in the days, and it's a lot of black kids that's on that campus. I mean, even though it's a mix of everything else and predominantly white, but it's a lot of black kids, especially now, that go to that school. So I'm just saying, read the article. It's something to think about, just something to put in your ear this morning, man, and that's all I really got this morning, man. So it's Thursday, Throwback Thursday for all you old heads. Go to that old playlist today. Go to that old hip-hop playlist today and go back and reminisce on how it was back in the day, man. Luke White Nelson, I see you, sir. I'm about to finish, man, so if you get a chance, man, go back and rewind this and look at it again. And again, man, be better than you were yesterday, man. Check out that article, man. Jemele White.